So before we start, I have got something from the previous tutorials, and this is about the custom cursor. So the custom cursor, we will replace the default web cursor with a circle with a point, and it will follow the actual cursor, and we'll have a manager. What it does, it has a state, and it will get two values, small and regular, I think, and depending on these, regular and small, and depending on these two values, we will set the width and the height, scale up the cursor depending on some actions. So let's style the main container. What else we have? We have our two arrays, one for images and one for videos, and we will have on the left we will have images displayed, and on the right we'll have iframes with videos from Vimeo. Let's create few components, and not folder and but file. We'll call it common container CSX. It's a React function. We'll have the image player, what is on the right, again a React function. We'll have video player, again a React function, and we will have a left and the right container, left container and a right container, and both of them are React function. And let's create the image player and the video player first. So an image player, we have it's gonna be a div, and it will get the source and an alt for the or maybe not an alt, we maybe don't need it because we will use the images not as images but as backgrounds. So let's give it a class name, image player, and a style, and we will pass the source to the background image under an URL source, and the video player is gonna be an iframe. It's iframe, and this iframe, it's gonna be the iframe that is taken from Vimeo. So we'll need, I'm gonna copy, we don't need this. What we need is a source in our main component. Have a couple of things here written, so we will have two divs and two div, and we'll give them a class name, and for this one is hover left and class name hover right. And let's import the left container and the right container, and let's have an h1 with the center text that we have in the that I showed you in the preview. with stories. And now let's go and create the common container. Common container, what we'll do is we'll have an array of medias. These are the videos, and these are the images, and based of them we will render two lists with this media, and then we will pass the sources or the active media that is now to image player or video player. So instead of returning here a div, what we will have is we will return a fragment, and inside of it we will have a div, and then we will render to props the active media, and this active media is the one that is hovered and selected now. So we will have a state, use state, let's import, and the current active media is the first element from the props or from the array. So first, and we will have here active media, and we will set with the help of active media. Inside of this div we'll have a title with the title, and we will have a list, and we will iterate through media data, and then we will get the media and the index for the key, and then we will have a list. That's format, and for this list we will pass the media title, and as props to the list we will give it the key to the index, and we will have some callback function for on mouse enter, and this is gonna be, we'll set the set active media to media, and on mouse leave we'll do something with the mouse. Let's add classes, and we will pass the class name here to navigation, and we will set the position. As I said, we have the left and the right, so this position will tell us which one, or in which direction, or in which place rather we should place this container. So and then for the list itself we will have a class name, and we will use the class names package, class names, and we will set the class of active when the media.media URL. If we recall, here in the data we have a title and the media URL to differentiate each item. In common container, so we have the media.media URL is equal to the current active media media.media URL. In case you have, I don't know, for some reasons you have two items with the same media URL, then you should have another differentiator or a UID for each element. Maybe you should check for the title, or maybe here you would have some kind of an ID and you will check for this one instead. For this container, what's left is to update our custom cursor. So let's use context, and for the context we'll have here a set size. Yeah, let's import, and for the context value we'll have the cursor context. Let's format, and then when we mouse enter, we'll set to be regular, and when we leave the cursor or the element, we will set it back to small. And in our right and left component, we will have here, instead of this element, we will import the common container. We actually need this, and we will pass few of datas. One is media data, and for this one we will pass the image data, and we will position to be to the left. We'll pass a title of photo, yeah, and for render prop we will have a function that will render something, and this function returns media, and here we will return this element, so class name, container left, and image player, and an h1 of class name, container big title with media.title, and for the image player we should pass the source, media.media URL, and class name, and this is it for the image player. And for the right container, let's copy what we got from the left container, and we will import, and instead of image data we will pass the video data. Let's set it to the right, and let's pass a title of film, and we have here a container of right and video player, and let's style the container. So we're gonna have the container right and the container left. We will have the position absolute, top 0, left 0, width 100 view board width, and height 100 viewport height, and we will make it background black. Let's save. Yeah, nice. Let's hide. Actually, it's hidden. It's hidden. Yeah. Let's add more things to our containers. So a container right, we will make it to be seen half of this, so we'll make it of overflow hidden, and the magic that we will use to animate each width of the container is a clip path. So we will give it an inset of 0%, 0% without commas actually, 0%, 50%. Image player, have a background, repeat to no repeat. We have a background position to be center, background size to be cover, and the height of 100% and the width of 100%. And for the responsive iframe, we'll have a box sizing of border box, a height of 56.25 viewport width, a left of 50%, a mean height of 100 pixels, a mean width 100 pixels. We'll transform so that it will be centered. Form translate 50%, and then we will scale it. Hence some of the videos might have a black border, hence that they are not squared, so we will have a position absolute at top 50%, a width of about 177.77 view hash, pointer events of none, and background black. Go and check it out. Yeah. So we have the fundamentals here. I'm not sure why the iframe is not playing yet. We will see in a couple of seconds. So we've got the image, the container left, and the right container. The thing is that the container left, it will be left at it is, and we will animate only the right container. So if we come here and set the percentage, we will see how the right container with where actually the clip path is increased or decreased. So we will place the hover element. So when we will hover in this area, the clip path of the video will decrease. So we'll have the effect that the image kind of gets bigger, and the vice versa when we hover on the right. So we will have here some kind of invisible areas where it will trigger the hover and will change the clip path. We'll give it a position absolute, a top 0, a bottom 0, a left 0, and it's gonna be around 20% of the viewport. And let's give it a Z index. And as well for the hover right, it's basically the same, only we change the right position. And when we hover on the left, we will update the parent, or actually the sibling container right with the clip path of inset 0%, 0%, and around 80%. As well, we do it when we hover on the left. We will set it to about 20%. Let's add the transition to the container right. So transition. We'll transition the clip path about 1 second to this cubic Bezier. So 0.77, 0, 0.175, and 1. Let's see what's happening. Yeah, we've got this effect of sliding or scaling and scaling up and scaling down the containers. Yeah. Now let's style the menus and the big text, and as well as the titles that appears here. For the center text, we will have it here. Position of fixed, a top percent of 50%, Z index of 1, a color white, a left of 50%, transform translate -50 to center, a font size of 12 viewport width. We will mix blend it to have a nice effect difference. We'll give it the font weight of 100, opacity 1, and we will we'll actually animate later the opacity to about 25 milliseconds. Easy in out. And yeah, we got the middle text. Navigation. As you remember, we have left navigation, and somewhere here, yeah, we have a right navigation. So for both of them, we'll give it a position fixed, top of 1 rem, font size 1.5 amps. Again, a mixed blend mode of difference, color of white, Z index 2, and for the left, please class name, and for the class name of right. So for left, we have a text aligned to the left, and the left of about 125 grams. And for the right, we have a text line of right, and about right of 125 grams as well. So we get the text as well. We have the effect or the animation for the mouse. So even the changing of the images works now. Hence we got it in the active media, and it's passing. So we hover, the active media it sets, then it's changing. Animate the left and the right when we hover. So in case we hover on the left, we will animate the container right to be a clip path. Let's where it is a clip path, and we will set it to 100. And when we hover on the right, we will set it to be 0. I've got here a small Mistake. This class name should be here. Now if we hover, go right to the right, and if we hover here, should go to the left. So we will pass the source here, and we have working it for videos. Wow. Back to CSS. We need to animate each of these elements, as well as to display here the title. So let's say that container, this here. So container big title, it will be a position fixed, z index of 2, bottom of 5 rams, again a mixed blend of difference, a color white, pointer event none, font size 6.625 ems, letter space minus 0.00066 ems, line height of 1 em. We will transform it uppercase. We'll set it to another font family, Merriweather. This is a serif. We'll set initial to 0 and we will transition the opacity to 0.25 sec is not. And when we would hover the left or the right navigation, we'll have again for the hover, we'll go up, then we'll get the container left and container big title and opacity to 1. And here we'll do the same for the right, and we will change here to be right container. Yeah, we got displayed the bottom text as well. Now let's animate each of the list item. So list, and we got the h2 for the title. We give it a line height of 1.2 ems, margin bottom 0.5 ems, and then we will set the default translate y minus 10 pixels, and we will transition opacity 0.25 sec, easy in out, and the transform 0.25 secs easy in out. And then we will write a small SCSS loop, so that for an item from 10 through 1. So we don't have yet 10 items in the menu, but this is a quite high number, so that we will get to each item. and for each list item we'll get the last $I and element, and then we will set a small delay, $I times 0.05 and we will set it to important. To change this to, as it's an here as well. And this is for backward, and when we hover on navigation, let's bring it inside of navigation, and when we hover on the navigation, we will hide the center text, and we will do backwards animation for each item. So we will go from 1 to 10, and we will not, we'll just simplify $I. And we will set the opacity to 0.5, transform of translate of 0, and if it's active, we will opacity to 1. See what's happening here. So now we got this effect, power, and the opacity changes. We need here to container title right of 0 and container left. Yeah, cool. We've got few things to do. So I would want to add a small fade in and fade out when the image changes and when the video changes as well. So we need to write few CSS. So for fade, transition, opacity, so about 0.3 seconds, easy in, out. So one is fade out, we will opacity to 0, and one is fade in, we will opacity to 1. And back to image player. We will have few things. We will store the source in the state, so use state source, and we will have fade state, so use state, and initially it's gonna be a fade out. And let's import here use effect, and when we have the use effect, when the components mounts, we will set a timeout for about, I believe, 1 second, and we will set the fade to fade in, and we'll need the ladder use effect when the source changes. The first one, it will set the state, or actually the next source, and here is 300, and in another 500 milliseconds it will set the fade in, and initially it will set the fade out, and then we need to pass the fade in class to the element. So fade, let's see. So yeah, it changes nicely, and we need to do this for film as well. So let's copy this like this, and we go to video, and we will set it. Let's copy the state as well. Use state, use effect, and here we'll change times, hence the video requires more time to be loaded, and we will change the source to be the state source, and we will add here the class fade. Yeah, this project was hell of a big one. I hope you kind of got some ideas on how to create this kind of interactive land pages. If you kind of enjoyed it, you can subscribe, you can like, and maybe drop a comment down below. And yeah, I see you till the next one. Peace.